So what's up? We're chilling in your crib today. So thank you for the invitation. I mean, I know I have my opinions. What are your thoughts on watches and why you collect and how you see them being so similar to fitness and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I got into watches years ago when I first started doing well in my business. I wanted to give myself a sign of achievement, a sign of success, and I got a two-tone Submariner. And I know my father, he got a little bit into watches. He bought a nice Datejust when he starting to get some momentum in life, and eventually a Patek. So I find like watches, to me, it's a sign of success. As you start working hard, you achieve some goals, you get a nice watch, wear it with pride, and everyone's got their own taste and what excites them. And certain times in my life I've been more drawn to different watches, but it's just a beautiful piece that you can pass down to a son. And
I think that's awesome. I think it's interesting you touched on that point that watches are really about watches really about how you enjoy them and how you wear them and how they mark the moments that you have in your life, and they really symbolize the journey. And I think that in fitness, that's something you talk about a lot, about how it's not necessarily the idea of that fit body, but it's the process that you go through to go from a guy who has maybe got a little bit extra chub on him to a guy that is ripped and in shape and confident. And that's something first following you as a follower for several years, and then becoming friends through this process of collecting watches. That's something that I've always really taken from your message is more so about the path that you go through to get in shape and things like that. So I think watches, for me, is a very similar vein. I know my first watch was a Breitling Colt Quartz, and to go from something like that to what you're wearing on your wrist, I mean that's an achievement. So I think that that's something that really needs to be celebrated. And I think as men, we don't get those moments as often. I mean, I'd love your opinion on that, but I think especially in this environment, in this society today, it's very difficult for men to I guess celebrate their achievements in a way that is accepted. And I think that collecting watches, for me at least, has always been that that avenue that I have gone down when I do have something cool going on in my life, whether it's a promotion or a significant life event. And yeah, I mean, I do see you have a nice piece on your wrist today. I would say, I would ask, what was your first piece and what motivated you to really pick that one over? I mean, there's millions of watches every day that pass through.
Yeah, my first piece was a two-tone Submariner blue face, and I saw that watch on Instagram, and to me, I was like, that's a stunning watch. It wasn't a $30,000-$40,000 watch. It was a reasonable price. At the time I was able to get them under 10 grand used, and I was like, dude, that is like, I thought that was the most beautiful watch under 10 grand. That Submariner two-tone, I like a little bit of gold. The blue is really casual. So that was kind of my first watch that I was like, this is an amazing piece. I haven't been as drawn into like the stainless steel watches. I've liked a little bit of two-tone or gold just because it pops. So that was kind of my first watch. I think it's a great piece. I've actually, a couple of my friends bought that same watch too. The two-tone sub, and then the next watch, which was a much bigger piece, was like, the Yachtmaster. I bought my company back, and I just wanted something big, bold, strong, and so that was kind of like my second piece, the Yachtmaster. My favorite one though is my favorite one that I just look at and just, this looks amazing. Well, there's probably two, but my favorite one is definitely the olive day date. I just think it's so beautiful. When you look at the olive day date, you know, you take a video of it, just, it looks stunning. It looks like perfection, that olive day date. That's definitely my favorite one. And then I got into like I got into a Royal Oak AP chronograph, blue, and that one's stunning. That one's like nuts. That was my most expensive piece. But you know, I love that one too. But like the day date is kind of that's been the one that I cherish the most. And even though it's like kind of more of a dressier piece, I like rocking it in all styles, all times. Yeah.
I feel like when you have that sort of piece too, it's like I wear whenever I want. I've earned this piece.
Yeah.
You know, these guys that are like, oh, it's a dress piece. You can only wear it with this outfit or that outfit. I'm like, listen, you gotta wear it however you want to wear it. It's your piece. You know, and a piece at that level too. You know, it's not a piece that everyone can attain. So I mean, if you want to wear it with my sweatpants while I'm lifting weights, you know, then I deserve to be doing that. The one thing I did notice as you were telling your story, man, was each watch that you had, you know, subsequently in your collection was always kind of like an upgrade to, you know, to your last piece. And I think that really speaks to, you know, us as business people and us as entrepreneurs and just men in general, that we always want to get to the next rung on the ladder. So I guess I would ask, how do you set those goals, not only for, you know, your next watch, but how you set those goals for your business? I mean, you've been in business since what, 2011, 2012? You're doing something right. So I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. You know, I guess in business I'm always setting the next goal. And that's the way I mean with fitness. I'm trying to hit PRs in the gym, get stronger. I'm trying to get to that next level of my physique. Right now I'm 31, so I'm pretty much maintaining, staying lean. But for most of my life, it was just these levels I'm trying to aspire to. And in business, I'm constantly setting goals. You know, I don't love just staying in the same place. I'm always pushing myself higher. And then, yeah, you know what? It's like with the watch game, I started off like buying the Yachtmaster was like a huge deal for me. Dropping like, in Canada, I bought it brand new. It was like 52K or something.
Yeah.
Buying that, I was like, holy shit. And I got to the point I was spending over 100 grand US on, well over 100 grand on a watch. So it's like, you know, it kind of, you know, pushes the envelope. But again, at the same time, it's like, you know, you can have a beautiful piece that, you know, that you just love, that's less expensive than, you know, some of your collection. So it's not good to just focused on spending more and more on each watch, but making sure that the one you're picking really speaks to you, and that the day I really loved. I thought it was very beautiful, stunning. When I saw it, I didn't even see it in person when I bought it. I just saw videos of it. Like, that piece is stunning. I like the green. I'm Irish. We're in this room that's the Irish room. So the olive was really spoke to me. And then that the AP was just like, I had quite a few Rolexes. I wanted to jump into the AP, and that rose gold, chrono blue, I thought just popped. And you know, and definitely, you know, I definitely was into that piece. So those are my two favorites, the day date and the Royal Oak rose gold blue. Those are definitely my favorites, but you know, it's fun. And I think, like, you know, I think, like, I like having just, you know, a few key pieces, because then the watches become definitely more synonymous with you. Like, I wear my day date a lot. That's kind of like the one that I try and kind of be the most recognized for. Yeah. And then the AP as well. But I definitely like to kind of just make sure that the watches I get, I'm giving them enough love where it starts to, like, you start to become associated with those pieces. They become, yeah, that
makes sense. Like, I know Kevin O'Leary has that whole thing where all the watches he wears always has that red strap. Yeah. You know, no matter what he wears, and I think that's important, you know, especially for branding as well. How have you branded Kinobody through the years, and how has that really changed, you know, as you progressed as a company and as a person, where you feel that, you know, having this luxurious, because obviously watches are a luxurious purchase, How do you feel that that's fit into your lifestyle and really benefited your lifestyle as a whole?
Yeah, so I mean, my brand is very focused on getting into movie star shape, improving your health, testosterone levels, living, not just getting in shape to be in shape, but getting in amazing shape to transform your life. And so my brand is very aspirational, really waking up, living life of your dreams, having the girl, having a great place, great lifestyle, cool car, like the whole package. So, even, having the sick watch is also like a sign of that. Like when you're in amazing shape, and like you got your style on point, you're well dressed, your physique's on point, and you got a beautiful piece, it just pops that much more. So it's the and my audience has been like having fun kind of seeing me kind of get into watches. Like a lot of my followers are into the watches, and even one of the guys that joined my mastermind, I have a very high level mastermind. There's only a group of like 15 guys in it.
Yeah.
And one of the guys, Bobby, like one of the reasons we bonded before he even joined was over watches. He's got like a titanium AP, and he saw me get into the watches. We bonded about that. He even joined my mastermind. So it's actually, the watches can actually be a cool way for men to kind of connect. And even if you see a guy in the elevator and he's wearing a cool, so many people comment on my watches, it's a good way to spark interest and also like just show value. Hey, this is someone that worked extremely hard and was able to create the profit and the cash to go and buy this very high-end piece. And at the end of the day, it's like, with watches, you're not just, you're buying something, you're buying an asset that can really hold its value, that has meaning. So it's not just like you're putting money down the drain or driving a car off the lot and it's down 30%.
Yeah, and I think that's important. That the one thing I like to say is, watches don't always tell time; they tell other people what your time is worth.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've progressed personally through my own,
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Because I don't really use my watch to tell time very often. I can just feel. I know what time it is. I can feel the time. I have my phone, so it's like that's a good line.
People tell me all the time. They're like, I don't set my watches because for me, I'm very much into style. Tailored timepieces, and I'm very much into the fit over the function of the piece. And people come to me as a seller and as a dealer of watches and say, oh, I really like this watch, but I don't know the waterproof. How waterproof is it? And I tell people all the time, are you going scuba diving? No. Oh, well, I really like the Navitimer, but how's the compass on the piece? Are you ever going to use the compass to navigate through the woods? No. Okay, then get what you like. And as long as you get what you like, at the end of the day, whether it costs you $3,000, $5,000, $100,000, it's a piece that you're going to enjoy. And I tell people will tell me all the time, watches are the investments. And I think to a certain extent they are, but I would never go into a watch specifically because it's an investment. The same way that, with Kinobody and fitness, I can tell you I'm in my 20s, 90% of the reason why I work out is to get hot babes.
Yeah.
But you would never meet a dude and be like, hey man, join Kinobody, and like it's all about the hot babes. It's about your health, and it's about changing your life and changing your mindset. And I feel like for me, I think the way we connected, not only through watches, but I have been, a client in your program as well. I lost about 100 pounds about 5 years ago when I was still in college. On intermittent fasting, and that's how I initially got associated with you. And I think you've seen that picture, but if not, at the end of the show, we'll show it to you. And yeah, at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, I can't wait to get more women. But it was about the health. You feel better and you look better. And I like to say with watches, it's the same. For me, it's the same thing. Guys will say, well, I can't really do watches right now because I don't have $2,000, I don't have $10,000, I don't have $100,000 to spend. I can't be like Greg, I can't be like Nick that we're going out, we're buying, Sky Dwellers and John Mayers and stuff like that. And I tell them, you gotta get what you like. And at the end of the day, because watches to me is about accomplishment, there's no serious monetary value on that accomplishment. You might see a Breitling and you might be like, hey, like, a Breitling might not be a big purchase for someone like yourself with your means or someone like myself, but someone who's been hanging out with Movado and Seiko for the last 5-10 years, I think that I think that's a great accomplishment, and I think that's kind of what watch collecting and fitness share is. It's never about well, Greg can bench 350 pounds, and Nick's still repping 150 on the incline bench, because it's about that journey. And I think in fitness, especially with what you prescribe, there's not a lot of guys in that community that are looking down on those guys that are trying to change their life. And I think that with watches, it's one of the other few communities where I can vibe well with a guy who's really excited about a Seiko, and I can vibe really well with a guy who's super pumped that he just bought a John Mayer or he just bought a Sky Dweller. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the price point, it's about how that piece makes you feel. And I think with fitness, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's a very similar vein, and I think a lot of people in the fitness space connect not over, hey, we can all bench the same, but we're all on that path of improvement, and I think that's really cool, to be able to share that that vibe.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, it's very, very well said. If the watch appreciates, that's definitely a plus, but it's about buying the watch that that you connect with, that gets you the most excited, that you get happy to put on, that you want to hold on to, and it all ties together. Getting your health right, your physique right, getting your style on point, building the lifestyle of your dreams, having that piece you put on that makes you feel like $1 million. Or even you just look at it and it gives you that sense of accomplishment. It's like a personal statement. So that's really how many watches do you have?
Honestly, I don't have a very big collection, because for me, when I started Tailored Timepieces about 3 years ago now, my 1 year anniversary, because they always said your first year is always going to be super tough, and I really wanted a Panerai 911, and the Panerai, and I didn't bring it with me today because we had a bunch of pieces traveling back and forth. But this Panerai was a green dial Panerai. They called it the last of the Paneristi because there was a guy that ran Panerai at the time called Angelo Bonatti, and it was really before Panerai went crazy with all these different dials and colors and things like that. And it was just a really cool piece that I vibed really well with. And I think for me, I've always kind of subscribed to not necessarily having a bunch of pieces, but one piece per brand. So it's like, I like this Rolex. This is the Rolex that's my Rolex. I like this AP. This is the AP that's my AP. And whenever I found another watch of that brand that I liked, I would just move the watch that I that I had. So if I had, for example, if I had a blue dial Datejust, I would say, okay, I have this blue dial Datejust, and then I would fall in love with an olive Date, and I'd say, okay, in order for me to get this olive Date, I got to move this Datejust.
Interesting.
And I think that has really benefited me in the long run, and I think one of the things that really helps you in this business, when you're talking about watches, is you're falling in love with the process and you're falling in love with the clients, but not necessarily with the watches as much. I think that is very important. To treat this like a business. I think a lot of people, I love your opinion on this. They say that when you turn a hobby into a business, it gets a lot more difficult. And so for me, watches was always a hobby, or watches was always a business rather before it was a hobby. And I think that brings with it a certain level of professionalism that a lot of other dealers don't have. I mean, that's why we're here right now hanging out with you in your space. And I always had this mindset of, okay, if Greg's going to go out and he's going to buy whatever he buys, whether that's a $10,000 watch, $15,000 watch, $100,000 watch, it's a personal experience for him. And working out in New York, I found that a lot of people, they lost that personal touch, for a long time. And you had a lot of these dealers that would, when I sell Greg a olive day date, then I'm not hitting him up. I'm going to sell him the olive day date, and you know what? In 6 months, when you need something else, I'm going to hit him up and ask, what's up and what do you need? What can I get you? And so when I started with Taylor Timepieces, I said, how can we create a more personal experience for these guys? Because it's important. I mean, I think it's important to do that, and I think that in order to reach that level of success, I think you need to fall in love with the process before you fall in love with the product. And I don't know if fitness is the same way, but I can imagine that you would have a much less successful fitness company if you transformed all these guys and then they lost all the weight, and you're like, okay, cool, like best of luck to you. You're gonna go have donut holes now that you lost 50, 60 pounds. And I can tell you that going through my own personal weight loss journey, especially with Kinobody, you guys are always on point, and you're always hitting me up and always following through. And it's really about that process. And I think that's if you guys had created a program that I see on so many other platforms where it's like, hey, we're going to teach you how to lose weight, but once you lose that weight, you're on your own. I think people would be annoyed. And I kind of took that mindset and I said, okay, how do we create a more personal experience for the watch buyer? Because I think that, going on Chrono24 or going on eBay and just purchasing something that you haven't seen, that you haven't touched, not really knowing who you're buying it from, is, first of all, you're not going to be willing to, make those, certain allowances that you would have made otherwise if you had met the person. But secondly, I think it creates an emotional connection that you just can't get anywhere else. So I think that for me, and now we're going off on a bit of a tangent, I think for me, while I do love watches, I think what I love more is that process of getting that person that watch. And I think that's something that's been lost, recently, and especially in the watch world.
Yeah. No, absolutely, dude. And the process working with you has been awesome. It's been exciting to get into Sky Dweller, Day, AP, etc. It's been really, really fun, and it's made that process way more smooth and exciting. I've seen you now in Miami, New York, Toronto now, so it's been really sweet, man. And definitely it's me some cool watches down the horizon. What are your top 3 favorite watch brands?
My top 3 favorite watch brands.
From number 1 to number 3.
Top 3, I think Rolex has got to take 1.
Okay. You changed a bit, because I know you were really into APs.
I was really into APs. Yeah. I think that with Rolex, I just think it's more classic. I think from a value standpoint too, because I think for me, it's a lot about style, and I think that Rolex really goes above and beyond with their styles and their colorations. I don't know if you saw the recent releases, but they came out with that gumball style, watch where it was basically they call it the celebration dial now, and I just thought it was cool. And I think secondly, JLC. I think a lot of these brands, Jaeger LeCoultre, or however you pronounce it, is an interesting brand. I think from a value standpoint.
Let me Google it real quick. It's called the JLC.
They're called JLC, and they are. I love their dress watch line. I think that it's got a certain level of class. Leather. Yeah, I think it's got a certain level of class that you just can't really get elsewhere. That third brand.
And what was the second one? Jaeger or something?
It's JLC. It's Jaeger LeCoultre.
Right, JLC.
I think that they have some really interesting pieces.
Really nice dress pieces. And they're at what, around 20-30K?
Yeah, I mean, like every other brand, they go up and down, but there's a large range of pieces that they carry. But
how long's that one been around for?
Quite a bit.
I think I've seen.
Yeah.
I think it was much younger. I saw a family friend wearing one of those.
Yeah, I think that the brand itself, because now they're a Richemont brand and they have been for several years. I think the brand itself has been around for a couple hundred years.
It's a nice piece.
It definitely is. I think that I think that dress wise, I think it's an interesting, an interesting dynamic. And then if you look at my third is going to be tough. I've actually been really into like these independent brands. Ming is cool. So he's a photographer who he's a little bit more simplistic with his dials. And it's not the highest.
It's called Ming?
It's called Ming.
Yeah.
So they're Ming watches. And this guy's a photographer as well, and he just went into his love of art. And it's an independent brand right now, so it doesn't have a lot of brand recognition yet.
This is it right here?
Yeah, so I mean, what I love about those are the simplistic nature of the dials.
Mm-hmm.
I think you see these days, all these different colors and things like that. It really do hurt, as far as the, brand recognition, things like, different dial colors, different complications. Complications is like, if it's got a moon phase or a date wheel, stuff like that. And Ming is very much like, hey guys, like we're a watch brand, but like let's just focus on the basics here. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a mantra in life that I think you can never really go wrong with. If I'm doing fitness and I'm overeating, it doesn't matter how many push-ups I'm doing, how many curls I'm doing. You got to get that diet right. So I think that Ming is an interesting brand because they're one of the few brands that were like, hey, like enough with these crazy dial colors and all these different movements and things like that. This is what we do, and we're going to do it well, and we're going to stand as a cornerstone for a lot of different brands. So I think they're on the come up.
I'll take a look at these two other brands. Really cool stuff. And which Patek speaks to you the most?
Which Patek speaks to me the most? I like the 15980. My dad has one.
5980.
Yeah.
Stainless.
My dad has one. My dad has one in gold,
Okay.
which he doesn't let me wear or take photos of.
Yeah, that thing's insane. That's a sick watch. 5980.
But
80 Patek. That's a real. I've always loved that watch. It's an expensive piece, man.
Yeah. So my funny enough story. My dad. He has been collecting for a couple of years now, and before I got into watches, he was very much, hey, I'm into my Tag Carrera.
Yeah.
And this is the watch that I like, and it's $1,500, and that's it. After I started getting really involved in the business, and he saw the different opportunities that watch collecting brings and the different connections that it brings. He started with the 5980, then he had the White Gold Sky Dweller, a couple of Hublots, and I hope his tax accountant isn't watching this right now. But I think that's one of the things that watch collecting really brings, is it really, as we said earlier in the episode, lets you really expand your horizons as far as like, hey, like I didn't know that I was able to attain this piece. And especially on the secondary market, because the difference between retail and under retail, especially with brands like Omega and things like that, are significant. So for me, one of the coolest things I see are guys that are like, hey, I didn't know I could afford this watch because retail is $12,000. I didn't know I can get one in the secondary market for $6,000 or $7,000.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a really cool experience. And I'm sure you get that a lot in fitness, where you're just like guys that are like, yeah, I'm always going to be, for me, when I lost that weight, I lost that 100 pounds. I just kind of always thought that I was going to be the fat dude. I'm the fat funny friend. Mm-hmm. And losing that weight, it's like, well, no, like I can be in shape. I can wear nice suits. I can wear cool watches. So it really, to get that paradigm shift, and in watches and in fitness, I just think is cool. And to see my dad go from a guy who's like, oh yeah, you know what, I'm fine with a tag, to like, no, like tonight I'm gonna go out and wear my meteorite Daytona, is like, incredibly cool because I think that's a mindset shift that you don't get in a lot of other industries.
Dude, hell yeah, man. Absolutely.
So what's next for Kinobody?
The Mojo, the testosterone supplement and whole branding line is blowing up. So we're having fun helping men get their testosterone levels up. That's been the big thing. The Mojo Mastery, which is the supplements plus the program to get your T level up. So we're building that movement up, and we're going to start to crush some awesome content. Well, content, the Mojo. Nice. The Mojo content, the Mojo watches, the Mojo whips. So it's the whole thing. But yeah, we got some fun stuff coming. But right now, we got the finger on the pulse, and these men, they want to level up their lives. They want to get back their testosterone. We got a big problem. Our men's T levels have been dropping like a sack of potatoes. We're helping men increase their testosterone. We got amazing results of guys increasing their blood, increasing their T levels, and doing before and after blood work and increasing testosterone 20-30%. So It's been exciting.
I can imagine that's a lot of research too. Like, what was the most surprising fact that you found, or most surprising, piece of, I guess research that you found while you were, formulating this product, where you're like, wow, I can't believe T levels are this way, or I can't believe that this certain thing is kind of contributing to.
I'd say two things. One, there's a lot of chemicals in our environment that make it hard for your body to produce high amounts of testosterone. Most people have, to some varying degrees, breaks on their testosterone production. They're exposed to plastics, to endocrine disruptors, to phthalates, in a wide variety of products and foods and scents. So their body's exposed to excess amounts of chemicals that tax your liver and also put the brakes on your own endocrine function. So our testosterone levels are lower than they should be. That's one of many reasons why, but our lifestyle makes it harder to have high testosterone. And then secondly, you can be working out, eating good food, and still have low testosterone, right? And then secondly, there are some really good supplements that actually can profoundly increase testosterone. A lot of people think you can't naturally increase testosterone. There are supplements out there, a couple of good ones, Tongkat Ali, Forskolai, zinc, magnesium, boron. They can actually really help and increase your body's testosterone production and help your body handle the excess chemicals and estrogens in your environment. So you can actually naturally increase testosterone at least 20%. If you're someone whose testosterone levels are 450, you can get up to often 550, 600 plus. If you're someone where your levels are 600, we've had a guy whose levels were already in the 800s that went over 1,000. So you can, even if your testosterone levels are on the higher end or pretty healthy, you still can improve it naturally. So we have a lot of power to improve our levels naturally without having to jump on testosterone replacement therapy or synthetic compounds. So it is really, really cool to see.
That's pretty awesome that you have these guys that can still increase and get better. And I think that really speaks to the idea that there's always a certain level of improvement, whether it's with watches and, what you're collecting and, or with fitness. It's you have someone like yourself who's been working out for years, and it's like, hey, listen, I'm still working hard. I'm still, improving myself and leveling up myself. And I guess my question to you is what do you think men need to do in order to, we talk about these watches and being able to afford and being able to show off these pieces. What do you think men need to do to kind of take that next step? I mean, if you're a kid who, maybe you're 18, 21, and you're like, hey, what's one or two things that, I feel that I could do to be the guy who, 10 years from now is wearing the Sky Belt, or be the guy who 10 years from now is ripped? And
I'd say, get lean on your lifestyle. Don't overspend. I see a lot of young guys buying 15 different pairs of shoes, dropping lots of money on clothes. I just think get in shape, dress simple, get simple uniforms you wear every day. You don't need to spend a ton on clothes, because clothes, as soon as you buy clothes, they're worthless. you lose clothes, they become damaged.
Yeah.
They're cool one day, they're not cool. So just dress simple, well-fitting style. Get in good shape. Don't waste tons of money on shoes and clothes. Just wear well-fitted stuff that looks good, and then go and buy a beautiful watch. Could be $3,000, could be $15,000, could be $50,000. Just buy an awesome watch, and then you're well dressed, you're fit, you look good, and then you have a awesome watch on that. If you can rock it for 5 years, 10 years. If you need to sell it, you can sell it. My very first watch that I bought went up in value. Went up a lot in value. So I was able to have that watch for many years and sell it at obviously a much higher amount. So better to do that, better to kind of stay lean, dress well, but like keep it simple, and then go and put some money together and buy an awesome watch that you're proud of, than to go and just buy lots of random things that completely depreciate.
That's very cool. The one thing I've noticed is, as I've gotten to know you through the years, and we have a couple of mutual friends, is a lot of them share that sentiment as well. I mean, dressing simply and dressing well and nice. We have a mutual friend, Chris Corey, down in New York, that I'm wearing one of his suits now, and it's very much like, hey, like, wear whatever you want, but make sure it fits well, and make sure that it's it's flattering, and I think that that kind of seeps into the idea that you got to surround yourself with a tribe that thinks a lot like you, and thinks a lot about leveling up and improving. And I think that I, personally would not have certain aspirations in my life if I wasn't surrounded. Father's Day's coming up. My father was always a big inspiration to me. Certain friends that I have are, always big inspirations to me. How do you think that's affected your life and collection lifestyles and things like that? And how do you think that the company you keep has really motivated you to level up?
So wait, what was the question exactly?
Yeah, we're all going over watches here. Sometimes we forget. No, I was just saying that the statement that you had made about basically dressing simple and doing things, being lean on your expenses and lean on your lifestyle. I think that's a mindset that a lot of our mutual friends share. And it kind of makes me think about that old adage that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. How has that adage, or how has that saying really motivated you in your life, and how has that?
Yeah, I mean, when you're in the most up and up, you got your circle on point, and when you're kind of feel like you're falling down or running in circles, usually that circle is wrong. But it's like the James Bond thing. You dress very, very simple. You carry yourself well. You carry yourself with confidence. You got a great outfit, nice watch, cool car, the whole package. So you don't need to have so much clutter and buy all these clothes and have 20 different shoes. As a man, you don't need tons and tons of variety. So just dress simple, have a cool watch, and then don't waste tons of money on clothes that you lose or get damaged, or you don't get to wear very often. Just focus on simple outfits for different scenarios, and a cool watch that is versatile, that you love, that speaks to you, and call it a day. And if you want to get a few different watches, then that can be fun. But no need to rush the process. Get your money straight, get a nice piece, and then again, you're essentially just taking money from your bank account and putting it into a watch.
Yeah, like that. There's one last question for you before we end today. One watch collection, what is it?
Sorry?
Your one watch collection, what is it?
Probably either this day date or the AP, but I might in that case might have to go with just the AP. That might have to go with my AP that I have, which is the rose gold chrono blue face Royal Oak.
Why's that?
I just think it's stunning. It's beautiful. It's stunning. The olive with the rose gold olive day date. It's a green. It's like a very the blue just kind of probably. It's a bit more everyday casual, but yeah, that Royal Oak AP is awesome. And again, if we're going back to your previous setting, which is, this isn't to tell the time, it's to tell you how much my time is worth. The AP, time's worth a lot.
Absolutely, yeah.
That time's worth a lot. That blue face rose gold Royal Oak chrono. Awesome. So that's a stunning piece. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you finding the time today to sit down and chat with me. And,
Awesome.
I appreciate the friendship, man. And, I've definitely learned a lot from you through the years, and I hope that our friendship grows with that collection as well. And maybe 10 years from now, we're talking about Paddock and some RM on our wrists.
Some RMs. That's the goal. That's the goal for sure. Well, sweet, man. Awesome doing this. Good stuff, dude.
Cool, man.
And amazing to see your fitness journey. And
absolutely, man.
You're looking, every time I see you, look better and better, man.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Appreciate you.
Awesome.
All right.